Now, residents of 14 Manchester tower blocks are planning legal action against the government to force it to pay to remove flammable cladding on their buildings. Ministers have promised £600 million to replace aluminium-type cladding, which was on Grenfell Tower, but not others.
Yeah, and that means that hundreds of residents are still facing bills of tens of thousands of pounds each. They say the government has created a cladding lottery, as Abby Jones reports.
Across Manchester, hundreds of residents are still living with the knowledge their tower blocks are a fire risk, their cladding highly flammable. But while the government will now foot the bill for some buildings, it won't for others, leaving tenants with the real threat of bankruptcy and repossession.
So all that you can see here is our timber cladding, and behind that our insulation, we're told, is actually more combustible than Grenfell.
Katie Peate lives in Burton Place, which has wooden cladding. The government won't fund its replacement. So Katie and 98 other residents have been hit with a bill of £80,000 each.
I genuinely don't remember the last time that I didn't burst into tears at some point throughout the day thinking about it. And the government, who are meant to be, looking out for you, and we all pay our taxes for them to do service on our behalf, are putting some people's safety above others.
Across the city in Skyline Central, James Oates has been told to pay £23,000 towards replacing his building's high-pressure laminate cladding.
We're literally panic-stricken at the idea of having to pay for it. So I don't know how we're going to do it, really.
James and Katie say they and residents of 14 tower blocks now have no option but to sue the government.
Our type of cladding is just as flammable, so it just feels completely unjust, unfair that we've been left out of that. It feels like a lottery was put in place as to who wins this fund.
We're stuck, and the only way that we can see moving forward now is to really call government to account to help us. We're that desperate.
The Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government says it's repeatedly and consistently made clear that building owners are responsible for the safety of their buildings, that those owners should fund any works. It says the government funding for aluminium composite cladding was exceptional because of the unparalleled fire risk it poses. Homeground, which acts on behalf of freeholder Adriatic Land 3 Limited for James's building, says the cost of the works are a service charge item and it's seeking to reduce the cost to residents. E&J US Limited, the freeholder of Katie's block, has told residents it's not its responsibility to pay and the government should go further to find a state-funded solution. But in Manchester's Green Quarter, developer Lendlease and freeholder Pemberstone have agreed to pay to replace cladding on Valleya Court and Cypress Place. James and Katie say they're praying their freeholders will change their minds, but court action is looking like their only way forward. Abby Jones, BBC North West Tonight, Manchester.